afternoon, and good evening for whatever time you are watching this video. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking to my social workers, or people who don't know what case managers do. Specifically, I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm doing an accent. What case managers do, specifically child welfare case managers. All right, I'm going to be breaking down every single thing that case managers do. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so you get a new case. What do you have to do? You need to review the CTS packet. Yes, you're going to review the packet. You're going to attend the staffing to where it transfers from the CPI, Child Protective Investigator. It transfers them from their team to the child welfare team, case management team. And at that meeting, they're going to let you know a couple of tasks that you have to do right when you get your case, including requesting the birth certificate for any children that will now be on your caseloads, and any other medical documentation, including from their primary care physician if you're able to locate one. All right. If they're in licensed care, if they're in foster care, in a foster home, in a group home, you're going to request a relative locator. You're going to start that process, which includes a couple of extra items. So keep in mind, all of these tasks that I'm going to list, it's not just a one-step thing. Like, you don't just email somebody else about requesting the relative locator. Like, no, you have multiple steps that you have to do in each of these items, okay? All right. So, of course, there's parents that are involved in the case. You can schedule to meet with the parents in the office or virtually. I don't know what's done these days, but back in the day it was in the office. Get a chance to get to know the parents and let them know kind of a good general idea what the case plan is going to entail. All right, you're going to schedule your first home visit to see your face-to-face contact with your child and your caseload. You know, if they're out of state, well, no. If they're out of the county, depending on where they were placed, you know, maybe you could skip this, but it just all depends, all right? You're going to complete some initial background information. What does this mean? Did you read that? I don't know. Okay, I know what this is. I wrote this down, but you know, it's just so much. I don't remember everything. But yeah, you're going to complete the initial background information. It's going to go over whatever information that you were able to gather from the parents. It's going to go over, you know, some kind of, it's the first step that you have to do to complete the case plan. So yeah, then you will complete the actual case plan, which will be court ordered, and it's going to be official, you know, document for the court. You're going to do some referrals, which includes having to research providers in the area that can assist your parents with completing the tasks that you put into your case plan. Of course, there's court. You got to attend that ongoing. There's arraignments. There's judicial reviews, on and on. On a regular basis, you're going to send any parents that have to do drug screenings. You're going to have to send them to do those. You're going to complete your paperwork for the preferred providers. That should have been, you know, a couple steps ago. But yeah, so when you, not only you have to give the parent the referral, but you have to send the provider a little bit of background information so that they could, you know, accurately assess the client and their needs. Once you do all of that, and it's been some time has gone by, then you request an update from the provider so you can provide that to the court. Okay, so for your child, you're going to be very involved in their school attendance and their school progress. You know, more specifically if they're in licensed care, but still if they're in relative care, you still have to make contact with the teachers, see how they're doing. You're supposed to request their report cards. Yeah, so you're going to have to request that kind of information. If there's a relative caregiver or non-relative caregiver involved, family, friends, you're going to have to do some paperwork for them, including for their funds that they get through the state. Might have to do a ELC referral, which is for daycare. So those are some things you might have to do. You're going to have to be a great coordinator. You're going to have to coordinate your visitation between the parent and the child, and also the siblings and the child. So, you know, sometimes it's nice for everybody to come all at one time, but you know, if you have different if you have different dads, and so, you know, maybe you're not able to do all the siblings at one visitation. So that is something that you have to do. Probably going to have to transport a child to medical and dental appointments, to psychiatric appointments. And I separated those three because they all require separate things. If you're going to a psychiatric appointment, you're going to have a consultation Well, actually, you're going to have the paperwork filled out for 5339. Essentially, the psychiatrist will fill out the medications that they're prescribing and the reasons for the prescription medication. Then after that, you have to do a consultation with other providers, with other physicians, in order to just kind of review that the medication is appropriate, and then you have to get a court order for the medication, which is, see, like I said, that's one thing. That's 4 different steps for that one thing. So yeah, you also, of course, as you're going through your workload, you're going to be meeting with your supervisor ongoing, so they can touch base, make sure you're just, doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to move the case along. You're going to be meeting with the assistant program director, who will be over, ensuring that the permanency goal is moving along, because through this, I'm not getting into the legal stuff, but yeah, sometimes you might have to do a drug screen in person. If you haven't already noticed, this list is all over the place because there's so much to do, so it's not in any kind of like, I just started from the beginning and I just kind of, work my way up and down and all around. And then you're going to have follow-up with all the parties on the case, including the guardian ad litem, the attorney ad litem. You don't necessarily speak to all the time, but if there's one assigned for your child on your caseload, then you will have to coordinate with them on some things. Yeah, so there's just various people that you just have to continue to check on, even if you're not seeing them in person. Make sure everybody's on the same page, has the same information. Sometimes you'll have to do drug screenings in person with parents. You don't have to actually go into the bathroom stall with them, but you need to be in the bathroom with them. Sometimes you might have to do some Social Security paperwork to get them on Social Security. That's a whole thing that's just terrible, and I'm not going into, but yeah, it's a lot of work just for that. You might need to request items for your child. Certain organizations will work with the department to gift the child different things that they need. So that could be time consuming, depending. Of course, you'll have to pick up the items if they're not already arranged to, get provided to the child. There is special services like ADP, APD, I think it's APD. For children that have lifelong disabilities that you will have to connect them with, so there's paperwork for that. For any kind of special medical treatment, for surgeries, yeah, mainly for surgeries, or maybe like certain testing, you might need to get a court order for that. You might need to get a court order for your child to be able to travel outside of the state. Speaking of the child, they might have, typically we try to refer them for counseling services, so that's something else that you need to do. If you have children on your caseload that are teenagers, typically the court will request that you can, let them get their ID, maybe their driver's permit. That one's a little bit more tricky. And there's just various items that you're supposed to have once they turn 18 and are out of the court system, or about their case is about to close. So yeah, there's certain things for that group that you'll need to have done specifically for the court. Jumping back to school, you'll need to attend any kind of meetings, IEP meetings, or any kind of school related meetings. If your child runs away, there's a whole protocol that you have to do, certain steps on certain amount of days that you have to do. Paperwork for, you'll have to do an incident report for that, and there's also incident reports for things such as Baker Acts. And you need to complete background requests as needed. So maybe there's a relative who is not able to have the child placed in their home, but they'll help mom or dad out with doing the visitation, so you'll need to do background requests for them. Complete safety plans, monitor the safety plans, complete home studies for mom, dad, relatives, non-relatives who are interested in being a placement option. All while you're doing this, there is a requirement through the state for because you are licensed as a child welfare case manager through the state of Florida. I don't know how any other states are, but yes, you will need to have certain continuing education course trainings that you're responsible to attend and document in the 2 years in between. No, I think it's every year. 1 to 2 years that you are required to do those things. There's different packets for different things. So if parental rights have been terminated, then you have to do an adoption packet for it to be transferred to another team, if that's, you know, how the department works, your department works. Or if there's a relative, non-relative identify out of state, you will need to do an ICPC packet, which is an interstate compact something. It's pretty much an agreement in between states for them to monitor the case. They don't take jurisdiction, but they monitor the case while the child is out of state. If your child is out of the county, you have to complete an OCS request. So essentially the same thing. Somebody out of county can see the child and refer to services as needed. For our agency, we did have to complete home visits every 3 months if they were in a surrounding county. So that was Pasco County. We're in Pinellas, and we had to go to Pasco, which is about an hour away, every 3 months to see our children. That was just an agreement that they had. Every 90 days, we're supposed to do unannounced home visits, and of course, as you could imagine, that would be kind of difficult to do. You just will have to know your people's schedule to be able to know, like, okay, they're home on this day, and just pop up. Okay, you know, tell them. There might be occasion or two where you might have to go to trial. You might have to prepare to go to trial, which includes reading the whole case file if you had not had it in this whole entirety. Going back to the visitation with parents and siblings, the court does require you to make a visitation plan. Sometimes they accept it into court, but sometimes they just want to know that it has been completed. All throughout this, you're going to be transporting your child to school as well. Like I said, jumping around here, working on call shifts, which require you to be on call for any kind of things that pop up, or anything. It's just anything. You might need to go to the hospital with the child. You might need to transport a child somewhere. You might have to pick a child up who's been disrupted or who's been taken to DJJ. Just whatever. You just on call. So going back to the services for that you referred your parents for, you might need to request payment for their services through your agency, and of course you have to stay on top of that, baby. Okay, and make sure it gets done. If during this time you're supposed to be scheduling to meet with the parents once a month to monitor, update, encourage, and if they're on medication, you're supposed to be doing a medication count with them. Make sure that they're taking their medication how it's prescribed. Okay, there are instances where a child, although they're supposed to be in school, for whatever reason, they are not in school, and you will need to watch them in the office while also multitasking and doing other things. Of course, since you're going to court, there's also that judicial paperwork that you'll need to do. There are occasions where you will need to call in reports for, child abuse and neglect that you are aware of, and you may be a part of some of removals that are occurring, not as often as child investigators, but may still need to do that. And there's also kind of miscellaneous tasks that you had to do. I had to just miscellaneous tasks. I'll just leave it at that. So there's all types of there might be things that I missed, and like I said, each of these items, they required separate steps, so it's not like you will be it's not just straightforward. Each thing requires another thing that goes with it. So there's just a lot that goes into case management. I simplified it down so you understand that it is a lot of work. It requires a lot. So, even if you're watching this as a parent, I understand you might just be really frustrated how things are going. But hopefully this video can give you just like a better idea of everything that goes into just having one caseload. There's one. Just one case. One case. So imagine doing all of these things for 15 cases, 25 cases, 30 cases. Like, if there's no one to do the job, there's no limits on the amount of cases that you might be assigned. So, or someone might be assigned. So it's just kind of, I understand the frustration for sure for parents. I get it. There's just so much, and parents shouldn't have to suffer for that. Kids shouldn't have to suffer for that. It's truly something that needs to be changed in the whole child welfare system, for sure. Some of these things, it seems, some of these things, they could be broken down into other departments. Other people could be doing them, or there could be a better system. It's just so understood that turnover is the thing, and it's just kind of like, but if you could change things, if you could make it better, then do that to reduce turnover, because there's just no reason why cases are over. I mean, I think 25 cases are a lot, or no, it's 25 children. Sorry, my mistake. 25 children are a lot. That was supposed to be our max. Now, were we over that all the time? Yes, we were. I think 25 children are a lot to give, all of this attention to, and to make sure everything is 100% done correctly, above board, every single time. I just think it's a lot, and I mean, it would be great, like I said, if overall the system would change. And I know that's a lot. It's a big ask, but I think it's possible. I just think it will, take time. It'll take dedication. It will take care. Sometimes it just, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but yeah, that is a list of everything that a case manager, child welfare case manager, has to do, is responsible for, and is required to do. Okay, so yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, or if you're a child welfare case manager and I forgot something, like, definitely leave it in the comments below. But of course, as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.